After Harold finished, tears of humiliation welled up in his eyes. But he didn't dare to step out of line right then. He knew his grandma must be incredibly disappointed in him. At this point, he couldn't risk saying anything else to make her angrier. Mrs. Wilson saw that Harold had admitted his mistake, and she felt a bit of relief. She didn't want her grandson kneeling to Charlie, but the thing was that terrible oath was tied to her own life. She was a devout Christian, and if Harold didn't follow through, she was afraid she'd have trouble sleeping and eating, terrified of some kind of divine punishment. So she looked at Harold and said lightly, "Harold, let these 3 bows be a little lesson for you. Don't go around making bets you can't be sure you'll win. And if you do bet, don't drag your family into it," Harold said, his face grim. "I know, Grandma. It won't happen again." As he spoke, his eyes shot a venomous glare at Charlie. He was thinking about what a piece of trash Charlie was for forcing him to kneel, making him lose face. He vowed to himself that he would kill him for it sooner or later. Then Mrs. Wilson spoke up. "It's wonderful that we won this contract today. Everyone needs to get to work immediately. We have to use this opportunity to build a strong relationship with the Emgren Group." Charlie chimed in from the side. "Grandma, since Claire was the one who secured the deal, shouldn't the position of company director go to her?" Mrs. Wilson's eyebrows shot up, and she couldn't help but have second thoughts. She had said that whoever got the contract could be the director. However, the thought of Claire, whom she had never liked, and her good-for-nothing, irritating husband, made her change her tune. If she promoted Claire, and Claire was no longer under her thumb, what would happen? At that moment, she wanted to take back her promise. After all, she hadn't made some life-or-death oath about it, so she could do it with a clear conscience. However, she knew she couldn't say that right after Claire had just landed the massive contract, so she found a convenient way to stall. "Well, tomorrow night I'll host a banquet and invite all the important people in Orus Hill. Then, in front of everyone, I will announce our partnership with the Emgren Group and the appointment of the new director." Hearing this, Charlie felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. Claire smiled softly. It seemed the director position was finally hers. She wouldn't have to worry about being pushed around anymore, and her parents could finally hold their heads high. Mrs. Wilson turned to Claire and said, "Claire, there's one more thing I need your help with." Claire quickly replied, "Of course, Grandma, what is it?" Mrs. Wilson said, "I want you to contact the chairman of the Emgren Group and invite him to the banquet tomorrow." After a pause, Mrs. Wilson added with an expectant look, "If he comes to our banquet, it would be a massive coup for our family. It would really put the Wilson family on the map." Claire thought for a moment, then hesitated. "But when I went last time, I only met Doris, the vice chairwoman. I never met the chairman himself. Besides, we just landed this project. Isn't holding a banquet like this a little aggressive? So what?" Mrs. Wilson retorted. "I want everyone in Orus Hill to know that we're tied to a powerhouse like the Emgren Group now. This is how the Wilson family is going to grow. Even if the chairman can't make it, it's fine to just invite Doris. She's the second in command at the Emgren Group, and having her there would be a huge boost to our reputation." At this point, Mrs. Wilson was practically giddy. The thought that the powerful families who once wouldn't give them the time of day might one day have to come to them for favors filled her with a rush of excitement. The Wilson family, under her leadership, was going to be more magnificent than ever. Claire considered this for a moment before replying hesitantly, "I understand. I'll try. This isn't about trying. You must get an invitation accepted." Claire nodded meekly, then quietly turned to Charlie. "What am I going to do? What if the chairman doesn't come? What if Doris doesn't want to come either?" Charlie laughed and said, "Just try it. You have Doris's number, right? Who knows? Maybe she'll say yes the moment you call." He thought about the upcoming banquet. It was a chance to show off the Wilson family's new status, but more importantly, Claire would be announced as the new director. His wife was getting a promotion, and he was proud to be her husband. Claire, of course, had no idea her husband was the very chairman they were talking about. She sighed, conflicted. "He's the chairman of the Emgren Group," she said, "and they say he's the heir to the Eastcliff Wade family. Why would someone like that ever come to our little banquet? Charlie smiled and said, You never know. Maybe he's just a regular guy who likes to stay home with his wife, cooking and doing the laundry. Claire shot him an annoyed look. You think everyone is just like you? Charlie nodded. Yeah, it's very likely the head of the Emgren group is exactly like me. Claire scoffed and muttered under her breath, Get real. How could that even be possible? Knowing Charlie was just joking, Claire paid him no mind. She stepped aside and dialed Doris's number. The call connected quickly. Doris's cheerful voice came through. Miss Claire, hello. Hello, Miss Young. I was hoping I could ask for your help with something, Claire said, a little embarrassed. Of course, what is it? Doris replied. Claire gathered her thoughts, took a deep breath, and bravely asked, I was wondering if the chairman is free tomorrow night. We're hosting a banquet to officially announce our partnership with the Emgren Group, and we were hoping the chairman might honor us with his presence. Doris was quiet for a moment before replying, Miss Claire, I can't make that decision for him, but I can certainly ask for you. Claire said respectfully, Thank you, I would really appreciate that. After hanging up, Claire clutched her phone anxiously, waiting for a callback. Just then, Charlie's cell phone rang. Charlie's eyes widened. He mentally kicked himself. He'd forgotten to put his phone on silent. It had to be Doris, calling to ask his opinion. Charlie composed himself, answered the phone, and said casually, Yeah? Doris's voice came through. Chairman, the Wilson family is hosting a banquet tomorrow night. Would you like to attend? Charlie replied, Oh, that. Yeah, fine, I'll go. With that, he quickly hung up and mumbled, These telemarketers are so annoying. Claire didn't suspect a thing. A moment later, her phone rang again. It was Doris. Miss Claire, our chairman has agreed. He said he'll be there. Really? That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your help, and please thank the chairman for me. Claire was suddenly overcome with excitement. She couldn't believe he had actually agreed. Claire rushed over to Mrs. Wilson. Grandma, the chairman of the Emgren Group, agreed. He's coming. Really? Mrs. Wilson was suddenly ecstatic. She immediately turned to the Wilson family members in the room and commanded, Get everything ready. Book the best hotel, order the finest food and drinks, and prepare to welcome the Emgren chairman. And another thing, she added, send invitations to every major company in the city. Let them know that the chairman of the Emgren Group will be there. In an instant, the entire Wilson family was a flurry of activity. Everyone was buzzing with excitement, calling various business partners and the most influential figures in Oris Hill City. This was, without a doubt, a game-changer. Soon, the news had spread all over Oris Hill. The mysterious new chairman of the Emgren Group was going to make an appearance at the Wilson family's banquet tomorrow. Mrs. Wilson fielded countless calls, answering every one with a smile. She was overjoyed. After tomorrow's banquet, the Wilson family would be the most talked-about family in Oris Hill City. Thinking about it made her smile with excitement. All right, that's enough for today. Start preparing for the banquet. This meeting is adjourned. After the meeting ended, Mrs. Wilson went back to her office. Harold, rolling his eyes, followed right behind her. Grandma, are you really going to make Claire the director? Harold asked bluntly as soon as they were alone. Mrs. Wilson's brow furrowed. She said coldly, I already promised Claire. Why shouldn't I give her the position? Harold pushed back. Grandma, you can't let her be the director. And why not? Mrs. Wilson retorted. She landed us a huge contract. She's the hero of this company, and she's earned it. Harold said quickly, the only reason Claire got the Emgren contract is because Wendell from the Jones family was helping her. I heard he went to her house yesterday. And then, surprise, surprise, the Emgren Group signs with us today. What a coincidence. I'm telling you, it's because she slept with him. Mrs. Wilson's expression darkened. Is what you're saying true? Harold insisted. Of course it's true. Wendell definitely went to see Claire last night. You can ask around and find out for yourself. Then Harold added, Grandma, she's a married woman. If word gets out about her and Wendell, people will say the Wilson family only got the Emgren Group contract because of that. What would that do to our family's reputation? To your reputation, Mrs. Wilson frowned. Deep down, she already believed most of it. She knew Wendell had a thing for Claire. On her birthday, he'd given her a lucky charm he claimed was worth $3 or $4 million. That would certainly explain how Claire managed to land a $60 million contract. Harold pressed on. If you make a shameless woman like that the director, our reputation will be destroyed. We have to pick someone else for the job, and then we can give them the credit for landing this deal. It should be a man. That's the best way to avoid any more rumors. Mrs. Wilson nodded slowly. She was almost completely convinced. Looked at this way, she really did have to pick another director to put an end to the rumors. If people started saying that the contract was because of Claire and Wendell, she could just point to a new director and claim they were the one who secured the deal. That way, no one could say the family relied on Claire selling herself. Besides, Mrs. Wilson had her own selfish reasons. She'd never liked Claire. She had always favored the men in the family over the women, and she didn't want to see Claire gain any more power or influence. She had to keep Claire in her place to make sure the Wilson family's assets wouldn't fall into the hands of an outsider. Thinking of this, she made up her mind. So, she looked at Harold and said coldly, "Harold, from now on, you'll listen to me. You'll do what I ask you to do, and you won't do anything I forbid. Do you understand?" Harold immediately answered with devotion, "Grandma, don't worry. From now on, what you say goes. I'll do anything you tell me to." "Good." Mrs. Wilson nodded, satisfied. "At the banquet tomorrow, I will tell everyone that you are the new director and that you're fully responsible for the partnership with the Grant Group. But you must remember to be obedient. I can make you and I can break you." Harold was ecstatic and quickly promised, "Grandma, don't worry. I will be. I'll be completely obedient." When she walked out of the Wilson Group office, Claire was ecstatic. Tomorrow, her grandma would officially announce her new appointment, and she could finally be proud of herself. Thinking about it, she couldn't help but say to Charlie, "Charlie, thank you. If it wasn't for your encouragement, I never would have dared to take this on." Charlie smiled. "You deserve it, honey." Then he added, "By the way, honey, shouldn't we celebrate something this big?" Claire nodded. "How do you want to celebrate?" Charlie smiled. "Well, our 3rd wedding anniversary is coming up soon, so let's celebrate both at once. I'll handle all the plans, so you don't have to worry about a thing." Claire asked, surprised. "Are you planning a surprise for me?" "Yep." Charlie nodded and smiled. "I want to do something really special for you." A warm feeling spread through Claire's chest. "Okay," she said, "then I won't ask you what it is." "Don't ask," Charlie said. "Just wait." To prepare a special wedding anniversary for his wife, Charlie started brainstorming. The main theme was making it up to her. After all, he'd been so poor back then that he couldn't afford to buy her gifts, and they never even had a proper wedding. Now that he had money, he was determined to make it right. After he and Claire went their separate ways for the day, Charlie headed to a jewelry store called Rare Earth in the heart of Orus Hill. Rare Earth was the most famous jewelry store in the region. Gold, platinum, diamonds, and jade, you name it, they had it. Charlie wanted to buy a gift for his wife first, and then go to the best hotel to book a belated wedding celebration. When he arrived at Rare Earth, the sales associates took one look at his cheap, knockoff branded tracksuit and didn't even bother to greet him. Charlie looked around for a while and saw a diamond necklace locked in a display case. The necklace was made from the highest quality diamond, a flawless stone, and its elegant style seemed like a perfect match for Claire's personality. Charlie glanced at the price tag. $13 million. To him, it was nothing. So he motioned to a salesperson. "Excuse me," he said, "could you take this necklace out so I can take a look?" The salesman glanced at Charlie's clothes and said, "I don't have the key, it's with my manager." After speaking, he used his walkie-talkie. "Manager Jane, someone wants to see our showpiece." A moment later, a striking woman hurried over, looking excited. Her name was Jane, and she was a sales manager. "Who is the special guest who wants to see our showpiece?" The salesman, Leo Thorne, pointed to Charlie. "Manager. Jane, it's this gentleman right here, what?" When Jane saw Charlie, her face soured as if she'd just swallowed a fly. How could a bum like this possibly afford their showpiece? With that thought, she immediately turned to the salesman. "Leo, are you kidding me?" He replied, "No, the gentleman really wants to see it." Jane snapped. "Can a guy like that afford our showpiece? Can't you see? If you can't, just tell me now and I'll find someone to replace you." Jane prided herself on being an excellent judge of character. She believed she could size up a person's financial status in a single glance. So, she had already decided that Charlie was just some poor loser. Forget the $13 million showpiece. She was sure he couldn't even afford a simple $1,300 necklace. This was a complete waste of her time. Leo didn't dare say another word. Charlie frowned and asked her directly, "Aren't you open for business? I want to see this necklace." "What's the problem?" Jane sneered. "We're open for business, but not for broke people just looking to waste our time. If you can't afford it, don't bother looking." Charlie's frown deepened. "And what makes you so sure I can't afford it?" Jane just laughed. Jane said disdainfully, "This necklace costs millions of dollars. What are you going to buy it with?" "I know your type. You just want me to take it out so you can snap a picture for your social media, right?" As she spoke, Jane crossed her arms, her nose in the air, her face a mask of contempt. Hearing the price tag, many of the other customers started pointing and whispering. Some people have no shame. Can't afford it, but still wants to waste everyone's time looking. Exactly. And look at his clothes. There's no way he could ever own something like that. I'm telling you, you see guys like this all the time just trying to look important. Charlie glanced at Jane behind the counter, who was sneering at him. He decided right then and there that he was going to put this snob in her place. So, Charlie pulled out his phone and dialed Stephen Thompson's number. "Come to Rare Earth. Give me $13 million in cash. I want to see it in 10 minutes. No problem, young master. I'm on my way." Jane smirked. "Wow, you're really committed to the act, aren't you? $13 million in cash? I've never seen that much cash in my entire life. I'd love to see it. Don't you know you have to schedule a withdrawal with the bank for that much money? You're hilarious." Charlie just nodded. "Since you've never seen that much cash, you're about to." The people around were all talking. It's one thing to be poor, but it's another to be all talk. This guy doesn't look rich at all. He's talking about $13 million. I'll be impressed if he can even pull out $300,000. I just want to see what $13 million in cash actually looks like. Hearing everyone on her side, Jane couldn't help but smile. When the cash didn't show up, she couldn't wait to see how this loser would get out of it. A few minutes later, several luxury cars pulled up to the entrance of Rare Earth. Then, from the first two cars, 8 bodyguards in black suits emerged. Each one carried a black leather briefcase. Their muscles were tensed, their faces grim, and they carried an air of cold, dangerous professionalism that seemed to chill the air around them. The sight stunned everyone in Rare Earth. Who is this VIP to warrant such a grand entrance? The grand display left Jane stunned. Could this loser really have made that call? She thought, but she quickly dismissed it. No way. A bum like him couldn't possibly know someone this powerful. Stephen stepped out of the third car and strode into Rare Earth. Jane quickly moved to greet him. But Stephen didn't even glance her way. He walked straight to Charlie. "Master, I'm here," Stephen said, "and I brought the cash." With a wave of his hand, the bodyguards entered the store. They placed the briefcases on the floor and snapped them open. They were packed to the brim with stacks of cash. The crowd gasped. "Holy crap, that guy wasn't bluffing. Damn, who is this dude?" People immediately pulled out their phones trying to record the unbelievable scene. But Stephen's bodyguards quickly stepped in, blocking their view. The most anyone could capture was the back of Charlie's head. Charlie pointed to the cash on the floor. He turned to Jane. "Ever seen this much money before? You have now?" Terrified, Jane could only nod. "Yes, I see it." Charlie turned to Stephen. "I want to speak to the owner of the store." Stephen nodded, pulled out his phone, and made a quick call. The moment it connected, he spoke into the phone in a low, dangerous voice. "Listen to me. This is Stephen. I'm at your store, Rare Earth. You have 1 minute to get your ass down here. If you're not here, I'll have my men burn this place to the ground. And after that, I'll have them break both your legs." Jane's face went white with terror. She could see the cold fury in Stephen's eyes. Was this man really that powerful? Her own boss was a major player in Oris Hill, a man with connections and influence, someone nobody dared to cross. Who would have the nerve to speak to him like that? Less than a minute later, a portly, middle-aged man scrambled out of the back office. The moment he saw Stephen, he hurried over. "Mr. Thompson, you came to my shop. If you had told me in advance, I would have been here to greet you properly." Stephen slapped him hard across the face. "You've got some nerve," he snarled. "Your employee dares to disrespect our young master. Do you have a death wish?" Stephen knew the young master had suffered a great deal over the last 10 years. Seeing him being slighted by a mere clerk infuriated him. The middle-aged man, still reeling from the slap, was initially confused. But when he heard Stephen's words, his mind went blank with shock. Stephen's young master? Holy crap. Stephen was a true phoenix among men. Doesn't that make his young master a god? His legs started to tremble uncontrollably. He turned his head and saw Charlie standing beside Stephen. He looked like a regular guy, but he was the young master of the family that Stephen served. The realization sent a fresh wave of terror through the fat man. He quickly said, "Master, I am so sorry. I apologize." Then he spun around, his face filled with rage, and screamed, "Which one of you blind idiots offended the young master? Step forward now." Instantly, every other sales associate's eyes landed on Jane. Jane tried to shrink back, wanting to disappear. But the man lunged at her, grabbing her by the collar. He pushed her hard and yelled, "You worthless girl! How dare you offend the master? You must be blind." The push sent Jane sprawling to the floor. "Boss, I'm sorry," she cried. "I was unaware. Please, just this once, spare me. Spare you." The man grabbed a fistful of her hair, yanking her head up. "You idiot! Are you trying to get me killed? You want me dead? I'll kill you first." Crying, she managed to break free from the man's grip. She scrambled on her hands and knees to Charlie's side, grabbing his leg. "Mr. Wade, I know I was wrong," she sobbed. "I'll never look down on anyone ever again. Please, forgive me." Charlie said coldly, "You brought this on yourself." When the man saw her clinging to Charlie's leg, he panicked. He ran over and kicked her. "You dare touch the young master's leg?" he screamed. "I'll kill you." The man turned to a nearby security guard. "Get this useless trash out of my sight. Throw her in the dumpster out back." "Yes, boss." The security guards wasted no time. They immediately dragged Jane out of the store. With a blank expression, Charlie turned to the man. "My wife likes that diamond. Please wrap it up for me." "Of course," the man said, nodding quickly. "I'll wrap it right away." Charlie took out the premium card. "Use this." Then he turned to Stephen. "You can take the cash back." The man quickly interjected, "Mr. Wade, do you like this diamond? Please accept it as a small gift for me." "I don't need you to do that," Charlie said flatly. "Mr. Wade, please," the man pleaded. "It's just a small token. Please accept it." Stephen leaned into Charlie. "Mr. Wade, since he's offering it as an apology, you should probably take it. Otherwise, he won't be able to sleep tonight." Charlie hesitated for a moment, then gave a slight nod. "Fine. In that case, thank you." Seeing Charlie accept the diamond necklace, the man let out a huge sigh of relief. If Charlie had refused, he was terrified Stephen would have held it against him. A man with his power could ruin him with a snap of his fingers. Just then, Stephen asked Charlie, "Mr. Wade, would you like me to give you a ride?" "No," Charlie said, waving his hand dismissively. "Where's the back door? I'll go by myself." The onlookers had seen something truly incredible today. Several luxury cars had delivered $13 million in cash, all just to buy a piece of diamond. And in the end, the owner of Rare Earth hadn't even dared to take the money. Who was this unassuming young man? Many people uploaded videos of the incident, and it quickly went viral. Online, people were calling the mysterious man the super-rich second generation. He was given nicknames like the Mystery Tycoon and God-tier billionaire. It even kicked off a viral challenge to find the God-tier billionaire, and tons of people joined in. But luckily for him, by the time people were filming, he and his group were already surrounded by bodyguards and being escorted out. The video footage was too blurry and chaotic to make out his face, making it impossible to use as a real lead.
This is only 5% of the story. Full story on Pocket FM app. Click on the link in description, install the app, and get 10 episodes free instantly.